Well, hello, welcome back to IrishRacing.com's Jump to It show. I'm actually going to be hosting instead of Vincent. We've given him a bit of a time off, and we're going to go through the week's key talking points. Not a great deal of news, to be honest, a bit of calm before the storm, obviously with Royal Ascot coming up next week. But I am joined by Johnny Ward and Emma Nagle. We're going to go over some highlights from last week, look ahead at some of the racing that's going on as well. But Emma, I wanted to start with you as well. Give us your highlight of the week. You got a winner in the Nagle yard.
Yeah, we had a great win on Friday evening there. I know the horse Rebel Waltz. He's coming back off an injury, so it was great to see him back. He had kind of a low-key reintroduction, I suppose, at Limerick a few weeks ago, and came on lap from it, which was a very bad race, and got his head in front. He's a funny old horse. He's lazy out, but he got the job done anyway, and hopefully go on and win a few more from here. Now the handicapper gave him a bit of a chance, thankfully, after. Look, he got a bad enough old injury and he came back from it. And he'll go again now in a couple of weeks' time. I think, talking to handicapper this morning, he got a rating of 98, so that's great. And he'll go on to, I think, Wexford now in a few weeks' time and hopefully kind of build on that again. But yeah, he should have a bit more to come. He's 9 now, but there's plenty left in him, I'd say, because he doesn't kill himself.
Well, congratulations on the win. Johnny as well, I've got to get some news out of looking ahead to Royal Ascot as well. Desert Crown going to be out of the Princess of Wales stake. What do you make of it, and what do you think the Tories going to do now?
It's a tough one, yeah, and it's a blow to the race because obviously he was going to take high rank, and it's been an amazing story with Frankie this year, you know, considering I know a lot of people are talking about the potential that he should even stay on. I think people were kind of slagging him a bit for his kind of drawn-out retirement, but it's probably been good for racing. And that is a shame because obviously I thought, you know, he was beaten on his return, but it was a good comeback run. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen now, but it's counted down nicely to Royal Ascot, and it's going to be a nice kind of I guess centre point for the summer. And we saw a horse that could go to the Irish Oaks yesterday as well that we may talk about. So I think the flat action is really heating up nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it'll be one little bit of action as well we've got to talk about as well. Race at Sligo, another bumper for Willie Mullins. I want to talk about Aurora Vega. It's obviously the little sister of Facile Vega. And Emma, you were at the National Stud. You met Q Vega as well the other day. So just talk us through that experience and what you think of Aurora Vega's chances.
Yeah, it's a few weeks ago now I met Q Vega, but what a pleasure. She's such a, you kind of picture her as this kind of highly strung racehorse, I suppose, but like seeing her now in her kind of second career there, you see her there in front of us with Aurora Vega's little brother. They're calling him Paddy Vega. He was born on St. Patrick's Day. So, but look, probably you'd hate to be rocking up to a bumper this time of the year and meeting those kind of horses if you'd had kind of something you fancied for a summer bumper. But Willie's strike rate in the last few weeks is just absolutely incredible. I think if you look at the stats, I think himself and Patrick have combined in the last 21 days, they've been operating at 85% strike rate, which is absolutely crazy to even think of. I think even just all his runners overall is over 60% strike rate. So yeah, he's man to be feared at this time of the year. But like the ground is definitely getting quicker. Like we were talking about Shark complaining about the ground being a bit soft a few weeks ago, but I was in Punchestown yesterday, and like tis fair. It's getting to real summer ground now. Kind of anything that's maybe half a winter horse, he'll probably be leaving off nearly this time of the year. Like we had a horse ran yesterday, and he couldn't handle it at all. Even though he ran a few weeks ago in Limerick, and it was kind of nice for him. But so it's kind of getting to that time of the year now. So hopefully Willie probably might leave a few of them off and give the smaller lads a chance. Hopefully.
Yeah, you say 85% strike rate with that combo, so it's pretty incredible. And Johnny as well, I want to get your view on just obviously the pedigree here of Aurora Vega. Can't be argued with, can it?
No, and just in bumpers in general, he's 12 from 18, so 2 and 3 this season. Absolutely incredible. I spoke to Jodie Townend after she rode a winner for him in Kilbeggan, and she was basically making the point that, like, if you don't win on these things at the moment, it's your fault. Like, that's how kind of, that's how good they are. And it'll be interesting to see because, I mean, I think Facile Vega's kind of the bubble has burst a bit, but maybe he's going to deliver over fences. Maybe that's his true vocation. I think, he was touted as the next big thing with Walking the Park as the most expensive national hunt stallion of all time, incredibly expensive for a national hunt stallion. And he's been sent to, really the best mares. I think JP McManus has sent an awful lot of mares to him with really, really mixed results at best. A lot of them are turning to handicappers at most. Facile Vega, maybe, in time he's going to deliver on that potential, but he seems to have a little bit of a hole in him over hurdles. But Aurora Vega, you get these bumpers even this time of year, and there's some very, very good horses running. And as Emma mentioned there, the problem for Connections is really getting nice ground, because it's very, very hard for race courses. Today, I think in Roscommon, with the weather, they don't know whether they're going to get like 1 millimetre of rain or 20 millimetres, because it's localised kind of flooding, and climate change is exceptionally worrying, and no less in racing.
Well, that's it. We were actually in Galway on Monday, myself and Emma, so stay tuned for a video coming from there. But the ground did seem pretty hard. They were watering it as well. I guess it's going to be hard for all race courses in Ireland, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Galway have to start watering. And I'm from Galway. Galway, it rains a lot in Galway relative to, we'll say, Dublin. But even in Galway now, they have to kind of water a long way out. And I spoke to Paddy Dunnican at Kilbeggan 2 Sundays ago, and he gave me a figure for the amount of water that they need to put on the track from dawn to dusk to ensure what was generally received as very nice summer jumping ground. But it's incredibly difficult for race courses, and then you tally with the fact that we've had basically a drought for the last 3 weeks. So if you're this is going to be a problem going forward. We're not going to have the water to actually water race courses, and they're probably going to have to come up with more solutions. But I've massive sympathy for them, because it's when you have to make ground artificially watered constantly, you have to wonder, why are we even doing this? Because it's not natural in the first place. And summer jumps going forward, I think, is definitely going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and Emma, you had a point as well you wanted to bring in?
Yeah, no, it's just crazy, as you were mentioning about how early Galway have to start watering. But I think it's as much as anything to do with the grass cover. The grass just isn't growing at the moment with the weather we're getting. It's just absolutely, it's kind of seems a bit unnatural really for Ireland. At the moment here now, it's supposed to have broken the weather apparently, but we've gotten very, very little rain, and it's still incredibly warm here. So it's an absolute thankless job for the race courses to get the ground right, and it's very, very hard to do, especially for jumps racing, to get it kind of to a safe level without any complaints. But yeah, it's the weather is kind of concerning, for summer jumps going forward. It's very hard to get it right.
Usually I guess with Ireland as well, the weather can be usually pretty bad, but obviously when it is nice, it's going to be really difficult for these race courses to handle as well. Emma, are you seeing a kind of an effect of that weather just on the recent meetings? Obviously there's been a lot of racing lately, but how have horses been handling it?
I suppose we're in June now, so you'd imagine the majority of winter horses will be kind of off, if not going to be off in the next couple of weeks. So it's kind of real time for the summer horses now. It can be kind of hard to predict, but you imagine most of the time that the ground is always safe. It's been a long time since there's been kind of real rattling ground for jumps racing in Ireland. I was in Punchestown yesterday, and I said, it was quick ground, but it was safe. If a horse was a summer jumper, he'd handle it fine. Just for an example, now we had Rebel Waltz who went on Friday. The same jockey rode both horses, and he said coming in from Clonmel on Friday, the ground was lovely, safe. That's just because the horse handled it. If you were riding another horse, you might say it was savage quick, but it all depends on the horse. It's kind of hard. It's hard to describe it too much, but yeah, we're getting real into summer territory here now. So you'd imagine the likes of Aurora Vega and some of the other kind of high class, and you'd imagine winter horses that Willie has, they're all going to be left off unless maybe there's something for Galway. But we're kind of getting past the point of hanging on to a national hunt horse who hasn't made it out yet. It's kind of real summertime now.
Yeah, one thing about it as well, Joe, is that obviously in terms of climate change, horse racing and sport in general is completely irrelevant. But if you want to focus on horse racing, if you're buying a horse going forward for national hunt racing, you really want a horse that'll handle good ground, because like you saw in the Irish winter last winter, there was very, very little proper heavy ground, practically none. And it only came then in March when what we had one of the one of the driest Februaries on record, followed by one of the wettest Marches on record. But at that stage, it was sort of too late. So if you're going to the sales now, you really don't want to be like I actually had this recently where I was kind of offered a leg in a horse, but I was told that he needed easy ground, and I was like, absolutely not, and he was a summer horse. So I was like, if you're going down that route and you want to buy a national hunt horse now, you really don't want a mudlover, because the mudlover is extremely limited in what he or she can do, because he or she's not going to get the ground very often.
I mean, what do you think that's going to then do, like looking ahead long term? I mean, are they just going to have to just kill off summer jumping, or what?
Yeah, and it's not like if they killed off summer jumping, that wouldn't actually be a major worry, because summer jumping itself is like, it is what it is, but it's kind of a shade of like American jumps race, and it's not that big in the overall scheme of things. The more worrying thing is for the breed itself, like the horses that Emma's talking about there. If you have a horse that's basically a national hunt bred horse, and this is for 200 years of breeding horses or whatever, and now he can't actually get his ground, it just changes everything. So it's gonna effectively end up in a change with the way horses are bred, because you're just not going to get heavy ground in winter regularly anymore.
No, absolutely. And yeah, speaking of offspring as well, of famous horses, you were telling me about a Frankel offspring you got an eye on.
This was a sensational performance. I was just alerted. Friend of the show, Peter Kingston, was on to me. I was onto a WhatsApp group I'm in yesterday, and obviously, Joe, it's been a fascinating year in terms of the change in landscape of pedigrees and so on, with Galileo having passed on, and Galileo's influence probably on the wane, definitely on the wane, and really replaced by his son Frankel as the kind of premier stallion. And Alasifa yesterday, she is by Frankel out of a lawman filly called Anine. And Anine, if I remember rightly, was trained by Kevin Prendergast, and reached a mark of 98. I'm just looking at her form here. So her last run, she ran second in a listed race at Dundalk. Good horse by lawman, who'd be sort of a run-of-the-mill stallion, but gets genuine horses. So Anine was sent to Frankel. So John and Teddy Gosden trained this filly. She was a late developer. She didn't run until the 25th of May. So she was basically she was born in March, so she was over 3 years of age, 3 years and 2 months old when she made her debut. Sent off 8 to 15 at Haydock over a mile and two. Missed the break, absolutely bolted up. But if you watch her run at Goodwood yesterday, and I don't think the time itself was incredible, but if you watch her action in the final furlong, she literally just gobbles up the ground. She's an amazing way of going. And the good news for the Curragh, which is in an interesting stage of its own development, I think she might be supplemented. Just listen to Connections today. She might be supplemented for the Irish Oaks, because as far as I know, she doesn't have any entries, which is kind of remarkable, really, because they always thought she was good, but she may be supplemented for the Irish Oaks, in which I think that'll be, honestly, would be worth paying the admission fee alone for.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, do you have any other fancies at this stage for the Irish Oaks, or is it just that one?
I'd say if she goes there, I'd say she'll be very, very hard to beat, and I guess we'll see what the Irish middle distance horses, where they are. The Derby itself, the Irish Derby, is going to be one of the best derbies I think we've ever had. I think the first, second, third, and one or two others from Epsom are going to run, and maybe a horse that was third in the French Derby as well could be coming over. But I'd imagine whatever runs in the Irish Oaks, she's the one to beat.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, we're going to be doing a more in-depth preview of the Irish Derby, of course, closer to the time. It's a bit of a way off at the moment. But one other race I wanted to go to, our Cork representative, Emma, the Munster Oaks on Friday. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, big race down in Cork on Friday. Look, it's only entry stage at the moment. There's a good few entered in it. We got last year's winner Ross Carby up the top of the weights there. Obviously has her chance if she shows up. Paddy Toomey has an awful lot of entries in it. Obviously won it last year with Ross Carberry. Kind of one that you might draw your eye to. Moon Vega, who won during the week this week as well. She won. He got her from Rafe Beckett at the start of the season. She won first time out, went on and won her listed race, and I think Paddy said the logical progression for her would be a Group 3. So if she pitched up here, you think she'd have to have a fair chance. Awful lot, and it'll be a great day down in Cork. Hopefully the sun will be shining, but it's kind of a high quality race. Like Ross Carberry won it last year, who went on to be quite an exciting filly for Paddy Toomey. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what walks up there. But if Moon Vega shows up, I'd fancy her, I'd say.
I think it's another good plug for your stable tour as well, Emma. You were at Paddy's recently as well. It's another thing to watch on the YouTube channel. And also, obviously, Royal Ascot coming up next week. I wanted to get your quick ante-post thoughts. Johnny, have you got anything lined up for us?
I've done nothing at Royal Ascot this year. I'm very interested to see what the state of the 2-year-olds are in terms of what Aidan O'Brien brings over there, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a kind of a fascinating Royal Ascot in the sense that Aidan O'Brien's kind of dominance now is sort of maybe not what it was, and how he's going to come up with maybe these no-name never-bred 2-year-olds that can replace, I guess, the very good horses that he's had. But it'd be interesting to see how Paddington gets on if he goes to St James Palace Stakes, because I think he I know he was sort of second or third in the list. He didn't run in Newmarket. He was sort of, I guess he was on the reserves team that ran at the Curragh, but I thought he was very good at the same time. And if you kind of, I suppose, collateral form involving the Newmarket Guineas, which suggests that he's probably a very good horse, and he's pretty unexposed, you'd have to say, at a mile. So I'm kind of looking forward to him. It's going to be a brilliant week altogether. Just looking at the races on Wednesday as well, the Prince of Wales Stakes is going to be fascinating, because you'll have hopefully Luxembourg taking on Bay Bridge again. Bay Bridge might want a bit of an ease in the ground, but I think Luxembourg's performance last year was very, very good. And yeah, it's going to be brilliant Royal Ascot.
Absolutely. And Emma, for you as well, anything that kind of catches your eye at this stage?
Yeah, the 2-year-old race as well was interesting at Ascot. Like the American horse, American Rascal, wherever he walks up, will be a bit of a spectacle, I suppose. They're always kind of good to watch. We were mentioning Paddy Toomey. He's horse Natche Magic. I was quite fancied for the commentary. I was beaten last time out by Jessica Harrington's horse, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him win a big race at a big price in the commentary. Maybe I know they like him. Aside from that, Willie has some interesting entries in it. I think Echoes and Rain is heading for the Gold Cup. It's kind of a funny one. Like if you look back at Galway winners who have gone on to win to run in the Ascot Gold Cup, have done quite well. So I think she's around 14-1. Whoever rides her now will be interesting. I heard her owner is getting interviewed, and I think they're planning to cover her by Frankel if she runs well in that, I think. So she'll be one I'll be keeping a close eye on. She's kind of one I like to follow anyway. Aside from that, like the Coronation's obviously going to be a brilliant race, seeing the rematch of the Guineas winners. And Luxembourg's a horse that I love. I can't wait to see him running. It's a pity to see Desert Crown out with the Frankie factor, but it'll probably be a week of Frankie Dettori. I'd say his last Royal Ascot. It'll be a sad place. It'll be sad to see on the final day of Ascot Frankie's farewell, but I'm sure he'll make the most of the week anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just as well, Joe, River Tiber, that he's likely running the Coventry. I was just kind of minded to see how I Am Invictus was going to run yesterday. He ran in the first at Navan. He was very well fancied. Now, he was literally grabbed maybe 25 yards from the line, but he looked a good horse. And River Tiber absolutely destroyed him at Naas. And his by Wootton Bassett could be a really, really good stallion prospect going forward. I don't think there's any Galileo in his pedigree. So basically, he'd be able to be matched with all those Galileo bred mares if he's a good sire. And if he wins the Coventry, he's basically gotten himself booked as a stallion straight away.
Well, I can hear, the excitement is already building in your mind, it sounds like, Johnny, as well. So like I say as well, on irishracing.com, we are going to have a full in-depth preview of Royal Ascot, so stay tuned for that next week. But I think that's going to wrap it up for today. So Johnny, Emma, thanks for your time. Thanks for being a part of the show. And we'll see you again very soon.